Whew. And we're going to jump right into it. You've seen these decks before. You guys are all tired of delays and what have you, and we're gonna get you right to the game. So players can start whenever they're ready. We are so ready to go.
Yes. So we're just waiting on some challenges to go out in this classic Rakano versus Combre aggro matchup. Hythar and Jello Moose playing for the privilege of going up against Smune again in the grand finals. So this is the losers finals, right? This is still a best of 5, and
Yes.
one of these players is playing for the privilege to go take another crack at Smune, who will be waiting with his Killers of the Xenon variety.
However, these players are all in the money. They have reached top 3, which is where well, first of all, the fame sets in, and second of all the prizing happens. The loser of this match has to walk away sad with a $10 Steam card lovingly donated by Jello Moose, who isn't he one of the players? Is that legal? Can he do that?
I think we'll have to take the money from him.
All right, well, he's already donated it to me, so I can just say thank you to him. So again,
Alter
Jello
the
Moose
deal.
of EternalDecks.com has been a great help throughout all this stuff. A lot of his tournament decks have helped us with our own stats as he collects them in a way that is far easier to parse visually than our Google Docs, which are unfortunately the best we can do on 4-hour notice for 61 different deck lists. But then we are ready for the players when they're ready to go.
I think they're getting each other on each other's friends lists, and as we all know, that is not as easy as it sounds.
No. And hopefully it doesn't
I like
involve
that
any.
we're actually keep catching this action on stream right now.
I
Stuff.
I mean,
Hey,
you
we're the curtain is not up right now. We are showing it all.
we can look at Hythar's deck list again if anybody's forgotten the exact makeup. There are in fact no decays in the main board.
It has 25 power that might crop up in one of these games.
Or two of them.
Maybe you get stuck on power.
Uh, Jello Moose's sideboard is kind of medium for this matchup. Ruin doesn't do anything. Furnace Mage doesn't do anything.
Hey,
Righteous.
Ruin takes out Vodakin's staff. Thank you very much.
Wow. Are you going to be siding in Ruins for 4 cards? I hope
It's
not.
about as situational as Plague, right?
Well, Plague at least had 12 targets. Okay, so
Yeah, true.
and side applications with popping ages.
Yeah,
Furnace
just like
Mage
Barrett's favorite.
maybe, Ruin no, Protect. There's only the Vanquishes really, and I guess and the teleports. So
We've
these are
got a game though.
oh, all right.
Here we
Well,
go.
there we go. We're right into it. Jelamoose is even on camera. So
And Hythar claims that he did take out his sideboard
all right. Well,
and has a very awkward seat at Diplomatic Seal hand. Oof.
and Jelamoose managed to draw those 2 drops that we talked about. Hythar seems to be continuing his strategy of drawing exactly 2 power, not 2 power and
Yep.
then more, exactly 2.
Exactly 2 power and pray for initiative stand. Turns out that happens a lot when you play only 25 power. They have a 2 power hand.
Well, Jelamoose doesn't have anything to shut him down here, so it looks like he's going to be.
Shut him down, except Hythar is doing nothing on this turn, and Jello Moose is going to get 2 more war cries this turn. Yeah, this is not looking good for Hythar. He really needs to draw a power here, and even if that happens, Jello Moose has the vanquish, so at least for one turn. But maybe Hythar plays the Copper Hall lead.
At least Hythar is going to play a spell that costs 3 or more, which he did not in
Yep.
the last 2 games, so he can't be too unhappy with how this is going.
Hythar gets the undepleted power and wisely plays the large unit with Aegis, realizing that 4/4 is big enough. So, hey, the Aegis is more important than being a 5/6, right? Wow, all those war cries hit a Silverwing.
Which is probably going to draw out the Sandstorm Titan, which is in turn going to receive a Vanquish.
But in the meantime, this Copper Hall Elite is doing its job. It is preventing these other war cries from compounding. How Jelamoose has transitioned into, well, I've got this flyer, and eventually Deep Forge Plate will end up on something, but I'm only on 3 power, so this familiar is going to have to do a lot of work. And ooh, A space from Jelamoose. I like that. I like that a lot. Get those war cries going.
You, know,
Get that extra pressure in.
you can't really afford to trade the initiate. It's you're missing power drop. So he's
Oh yeah.
basically trading 1 unit through for 4 damage and 3 Warkai triggers, which is certainly a trade he's willing to make here.
Oh yeah. Get that damage in. Another Titan comes down. There's no way Jelamoose can plate here, but he gets a Justice Sigil at least, but has to take a turn off from attacking. So Hydar's got to be real happy about this situation now. He's got a double silence hand, some more units to play. District Infantry is shiny, but not doing a whole lot. But now Hydar's got to be like, all right, I'm stabilized. How am I going to win this game if I win it? And what do I have to be worried?
So what do you think you go with? I think you have to play 2 things, but which 2 things? Do you think it's Copper Hall Elite plus District Infantry, or do you think it's 3 drop plus Hold Up Desert Marshal?
I could see popping the Aegis holding up Desert Marshal being a line. Um,
Okay,
that's like one option I'd consider.
that
If
plays
you don't want to,
around Vanquish pretty well
yeah,
because your opponent's not going to be able to get another flyer hit in.
yeah, because basically at this point you're like, okay, he chooses to shrink that. I don't know if that. I mean, we know his opponent has 2 plates in hand, so we realize getting rid of something's endurance and quick draw isn't that important when you can give endurance overwhelm
Well,
to
this line
anything.
is better against weapons since even just as
Yeah,
something as simple as a 3/3 weapon, like for example a Hammer of Might, is going to make that
yeah, it's a real
going to
problem.
make the Champion of Glory into a serious issue. Whereas putting it on the familiar, it turns into a 7/7. You can still double block that if they don't kill your Titan. So this
right,
line,
right. Taking care of these quick draws is actually more important right now than taking care of the Aegis or the flying or anything like. You just have big units. You can block. You can block 9/9s. You can actually do that.
mhm,
You can't block 8/8. Quick
quick
draw units
draws. Yeah.
endurance. Yeah, that's so. I think that's a good play by Hythar, recognizing. All right, as long as we've got the Sandstorm Titan around, and I'm going to pretend I have it around forever. The familiars aren't the problem. The quick draw units are the problem.
And because he played the line where he wasn't removing the Aegis, he was just shrinking the Champion of Glory, excuse me. It
Mhm.
didn't make as much sense to hold up the Desert Marshal since he was only going to be able to silence the 2/2. So
Right.
deploying the extra blocker makes sense.
So here he has the option again of either silencing the champion of glory, but here he's opting to play Seraph instead. For I don't know why, but he's choosing the other line.
It looks like he wants to hold up Desert Marshal here.
Yeah, yeah. I'm just saying. Last time he had the option to either Valkyrie or Seraph and chose the Valkyrie, and this time he chose Seraph instead of Valkyrie. And here comes the Deep Forge Plate on a bird,
The first of many.
and the bird is grounded.
I
It will sit
imagine you get in anyways, right? No.
there. No. Either Jelamus is choosing not to do that. He might be planning on doubling up on this silver
I think if you don't attack, you're definitely planning on doubling up.
and then just like a
Oh,
space.
what am I talking about? That attack sucks. You get double blocked by Titan and
Yeah,
Copper
yeah.
Hall Elite in trade.
It's not good.
That attack
It's
sucks.
not a good
Never mind what I said.
attack. Yeah, this is your opponent has very large units. Okay, so he's trying to find the line that if he draws Vanquish here, he can at least kill that.
This is a little bit funny where if he silences it now, the second plate gives it basically the same abilities minus the lifesteal.
Yeah,
and,
which
and and flying, which is certainly relevant once the Sandstorm Titan is out of the way. But
so what the heck does a 14/14 overwhelm endurance do on this board is now what Jello Moose has to ask. Like, what
uh,
kind of blocks does my opponent develop from that?
it trades with I think 3 units probably. But
At least 3, right? Because 5/6 plus 4/4 plus 4/4. Yeah, it can trade with all 3 of their largest units at the
I
very least. So that sounds pretty good to me.
well, the problem is that they're still left with a bunch of large units, and you're not left with really anything. So
Well,
what I think the better line might, well, The other line that you could have taken is put it on the other Silverwing Familiar, and now you're just waiting for a Silence or a Vanquish to take away the Sandstorm Titan and open up the air. Since
Yeah.
here you're trading, but then you're outclassed on the ground. This relies on drawing more weapons to
This
boost up your guys.
it relies on either weapons or a vanquish for Titan, so you can start swinging with your 4/4 flying lifesteal. Because you're either taking out the Titan or you're taking out the Flyer. Seems to be the case. Interesting that Hythar's valuing like these Valkyries over, say, the Awakened Student or something like District Infantry. Like I feel like I'd rather just throw away an infantry and the 2/1 than one of these. So he's going with preserving as many units as possible, trying to get to the Seraph ult, right? One more power away now that he drew power there. And now this Awakened Student's a 4/4 and super relevant on.
Do you just no?
You just wait.
I don't think you attack here. You've got the Seraph.
Yeah, you're at 11. You don't want to give them any openings to really kill you next turn. If you draw power, you got Seraph. If you don't.
And here is how Rakano top decks when it has no Warcry triggers. Not
Yep.
very well.
Yeah, when you opt to the all-in on Silverwing Familiar playing on Rakano, that's because you're hoping that thing is ending the game or winning a race, and neither of those things actually happen. So, it's rare that you resolve your Rakano and you resolve 2 plates and multiple Silverwing Familiars and are losing, but that is actually what's happening here until the Sandstorm Titan is removed from the battlefield.
Hythar's not drawing super high impact spells, so
certainly not, but it's a ticking time bomb. Hythar has to have the fact that power is a good top deck for Hythar puts him in a good spot here. Of course, he's drawn all of his district inventories instead, but it's basically Jalamoose has a bunch of dead draws in the form of not that Vanquish that he just ripped off the top.
All right.
Oh boy, now we've got a game. We were waiting for Hythar to either draw power or Jalamoose to draw Vanquish, and it turns out Jalamoose draws Vanquish first.
So here we see that District Infantry is actually worse than power, and that was a terrible. Okay, don't know. No, what?
He's thinking of doing this because you can get cute with Torch plus Champion of Glory.
You don't put your Sandstorm Titan anywhere near that thing.
I think I would just vanquish the Titan and still swing with Champion of Glory, but also swing with your Flyers.
Yeah, I'm not sure why the Vanquish is getting held here.
This is getting a little too cute for my liking, but
well, he got the Desert Marshal out.
If you think that's a good thing, I don't know. I just don't see what you're waiting for with this Vanquish. Like why?
I imagine he'll
go
for it
have
now.
A better. I don't know. I'm not sure how you have a. Oh, I guess you were. Oh, you're not sure if they have Protect. That's it. You're playing around Protect.
But after you prove that they didn't when they played the Desert Marshal, why don't you go for the Vanquish play?
All right. Well, we can talk about that all day, but I think Hythar just won the Seraph lottery on the first roll.
Double Vanquish?
That is a very large owl that just appeared on the board. And now removing Sandstorm Titan's not going to solve any of your problems because your opponent also has an 8/12 flyer with endurance. Fourth Tree Elder is a draft all-star and is probably played the proper amount in constructed, as in 0. But here is showing off that when it's doubled in stats and doesn't take up a slot in your deck, it can be pretty good. And oh god, another huge flyer from Seraph in Roland's Honor Guard. This game is over. Jalamoose can keep playing it out, but there is just no combination of cards that Rakano can find to get past this mess. Oh god, those were some good Seraph rolls. I've seen some Seraphs that make Idol of Destrins and Initiative of the Sands, and these are not those cards.
Armor Smith is a popular one.
Oh god. Well,
so
Seraph is showing off why she's more than just a 3/4 overwhelm for 3.
I imagine it's because of her additional text.
Yeah. We were talking about how Power was a slightly better top deck than District Infantry, and that was no joke. Turns out Roland's Honor Guard is a slightly better card than District.
Amusingly, if Jello Moose played 2 Obliterates, he had the out of
It's true.
Obliterate, block the Roland's Honor Guard, torch his own guy, draw Obliterate, obliterate his face.
All right. Well, he drew a Silence Flyer and has Vanquish, so he actually has an out here. It's just crazy to think about. Although he might be dead on the crackback. Wow, man! Valkyrie Enforcer showing off why it's so insane. Whew.
Does he have to keep that? He can't win the game if he keeps that back.
Yeah, he has to swing with the 4/4. All right, so this game's not completely over yet. Now, do you roll with the Seraph here? Wow, Hythar can actually still lose this game. Man, Valkyrie Enforcer's so insane.
How much? Okay, so the 8/12 is going to get blocked.
Hythar going to lose because he swung with Sandstorm Titan? Is that basically what's going on here?
The 8/12 is going to get blocked. The 6/6 could get blocked and still leave lethal, so that's 20. So you got to deal 20 damage with your guys. I don't think you can do it. You got to roll. Oh, never mind. It's turning the other way.
Oh my god! I mean, wow, Jello Moose can still kind of win this, but man, these Seraph rolls have been incredible.
So you ship everybody. No.
Yeah.
You ship everybody. Well, does it matter at this point if he blocks a 2/1?
I don't know.
I think
He's
that
holding things back.
I guess he has to leave at least one thing back because of the extra 2/2 on the ground that we were otherwise discounting.
Yeah. These are some of the best Seraph hits
So
I've
any
ever
weapon
seen.
wins him the game. Torch wins him the game. Power does not win him the game.
Yeah.
All right.
And he draws the power. You couldn't stay on 7 power forever. Oh my god.
Well, Jello Moose found the one line that made him have a chance to win, and then
Hythar almost threw that away by, I guess, attacking with Sandstorm Titan, right? You had 3 blockers or three things in the way, and they found a way to deal with 2 of them, and you let your Sandstorm Titan die, and that almost gave Jello Moose the out, and then of course Seraph just covers up that mistake like nothing ever.
So even after Seraph, he still had outs. He just wasn't quite as lucky.
Yep. So now
A+ space.
I think Jello Moose Hythar can just get safe to assume. Blocks a 12/12. They die.
Yes.
Death by a million damage.
It's gonna be tough for a 1/1 to deal with that board.
So that game highlighted the difference between Cambrai aggro and Rakano aggro, and that one has a slightly better end game.
I'll tell you one thing, that was an exciting game to watch. There were swings on every draw steps for like 4 turns in a row, and it even had that plot twist at the end there where once you thought it was done, it turned. Oh, no. So, as there is no sideboard, we're hopping right back into it, so don't go anywhere. We got even more action.
That was game 1. I can't handle more of this.
Wow. You may not have time to handle more of this.
Yeah.
So, Hythar leads 1-0.
And Hythar's got a double Vank Initiate hand. It doesn't answer the small Rakano Warcry units, which is what you want to answer early, right?
It also doesn't really do anything. You have to let your opponent make the big units and hit you with them before you can vanquish them down.
Also, props for Jello Moose for not quitting the game forever after some of those gifts from aReNGee's.
We have a little Jello Moose complaining that I'm on Hythar's side. Yeah. I'm actually not. I'm not on Seraph's side. I'm on Akari's side.
All right, well, Hythar mulliganed into another 2-power hand. I believe this is the theme of the deck. Can't even cast any of their 2-drops this time around.
I'm not actually convinced this deck plays 3-power, to be honest.
Yeah. Jello Moose still talking about the last game.
Jello Moose incredibly unlucky. Draws 2 vanquishes when his opponent is stuck on power.
Yep, instead just has to curve out and kill it instead. And Hythar questioning why they ever why they only went with 25 power initiates. Because this is a recurring theme for this deck in the tournament.
I feel like
Keeps
this initiate is going to get silenced, and Hythar is going to continue to have unspeakable things done to him.
yeah. Yeah, there's no reason to save Enforcer for silencing anything else. You know your opponent's stuck on power, even if they somehow magically can jump through hoops to cast a Sandstorm Titan in a couple turns. You got Vanquishes for it. That's the only other card you really care about here. You're going to keep getting your War Cries and killing your opponent. Well, maybe if you never get to cast all these 5-drops, you could, but I doubt that. Do you get cute and torch the initiate, or do
Oh,
you
for
save?
sure. You need to
Yeah,
torch the initiate. I mean,
you need to.
you're playing the tempo game here. You've got units in play. Your opponent has no blockers. Really didn't.
Well, he doesn't torch it.
Okay, it doesn't appear to matter since his opponent can't play anything.
Yeah, I think the thought is the torch can actually be used to go face and end this game a bit sooner.
Mm-hmm. I just like shutting my opponent off of all their potential outs. You know, a
Yeah.
single.
Yeah, here torch makes a lot more sense. Where it's like, although honestly, if they get to 4 power, what happens? They play a target for Vanquish,
I
and
suppose
you
that's
don't
true.
care. So like they're thinking, well, we only really care if they draw Justice and start playing their Justice cards, and killing Initiate doesn't change that outcome at all. And now you get to kill him with Torch here.
And Hythar just didn't draw anything. The only games he loses are the ones where he's stuck on 2.
Yeah, well, it turns out when you don't get punished for not having enough power, your deck is really good.
Right. I guess that's the other side. You know, the aReNGee was with him last game, and this time it was
Yeah.
not at all.
I mean, we were even talking about how all he needed to do was draw an 8th power on that Seraph last turn, and he couldn't even do that. Like even when you are flooded, you can't flood. So, you know, and yeah, Jello Moose complains and gets rewarded for it, which I'm not a fan of. I think the Eternal Engine should have recognized that one player was complaining and punished them for
I think
it.
we should have brought in Unearthly. Unearthly's constantly complaining about how he floods with 25 power Rakano decks. So maybe he could help Hythar draw a few power. Usually he draws about 12 per game, I'm told. Wins anyways.
Yeah. Whew. All right. So we're going to game 3. They do get the sideboard now.
All right.
I have no idea what changes.
Let's still be a little serious. So we talked about the Jellomoose sideboard. I don't think the Soulfire Drakes are that good in this matchup. There's the Desert Marshals, the Sandstorm
It's certainly
Titans.
taken out for another plate, or is he already on 4 main?
He's already on 4 in the main.
Right.
So the Vanquish is going to come in. Protect, probably going to come in, just as something to do.
Nice.
But other than that, I don't think we're going to see too many changes. Maybe he brings in a Furnace Mage or two. I don't think this is the matchup for Righteous Fury, but potentially he could want to go with some kind of big burst damage turn.
I don't know. Yeah, Righteous Fury doesn't change the size of the unit, so that's like where it's kind of awkward. I think it's mostly going to be worse than Protect or stuff.
Fury is super awkward with Silverwing is the problem, because it already has lifesteal, and double damage on a 1/1 is not very good.
Yeah. It's really good with Champion of Glory and Rakano Outlaw, but because of silences, those are less likely to be active with the quick draw.
Well, whatever it is, it looks like they've decided, because we're going right back into it.
Yep, game 3. We are tied up.
Once again, this is a best of 5, so this is not a deciding match. It's just more entertainment for you guys.
Okay.
Will Hythar keep a 4-power hand?
You can cast Sandstorm Titans, but you're on the draw. You just need something more than teleport early on. And
does he dare?
Mulligans into the double 2-drop hand as is.
No.
Wow, Hythar keeps it.
Hythar is once bitten, twice shy, as the saying goes.
I thought maybe I looked away and he just mulliganed into the exact same hand.
That is possible, but that is not what happened here.
Okay.
Now his hand's all right. His opponent didn't play anything on turn 1. He can afford, a turn or 2.
Yep. But the war cries are going to start coming. And yeah. I wonder if Hythar took out the district infantries and just tried to go a bigger mid-range strategy and something, and that's why he didn't bother shipping it for
brought in the
early action.
Well, that
couple
actually is
draws.
something to bring up because he's got this like go tall strategy in the sideboard, right? I know this is
Mhm.
a little bit deep on analysis, but we've seen him stumble on land on power all the time. So playing these 5 drops to reset seems kind of sketchy with his greedy power base that he has.
Well, here's Enforcer. Silences the Aegis off the flyer. Jello Moose is draws a fourth power. All right.
Do you
So
just
what
go
do you
with the
do
other
here?
Silverwing?
You actually attack on this board, but now he opts to play the Silverwing anyways. Uh, Waiting to see what those war cries hit. And Hythar swinging with the 3/3. They're just Hythar is boldly saying, "You do not have Vanquish. I don't care if you get one war cry, even if you do have Vanquish."
Well, he's got the read. He does not have Vanquish, but he's got a reasonable draw there with
Mm-hmm.
two 4/4 champions.
Yeah, 1/4/4 and 1/3/3 champion.
Or
Um,
yes.
so yeah, Hythar is stalling the board and now just needs to again figure out a way. How am I winning this game? Is it through putting a staff on this Sandstorm Titan? I think you want to double up on Titans before you commit to beating down with one of them.
Problem with
But I guess
committing
staff
is you
lets you hold
lose
up.
your ability to hold up another card, and you can't
Yeah,
attack this turn if
yeah,
you don't
yeah. Being
staff it
able to
up.
hold up both teleport and Desert Marshal here certainly has its upsides. So I think that ultimately trumps wanting to double up on. So yeah, he suits it up, throws it at Jelamoose, and Jelamoose has the option of throwing away a ton of units to kill it, and maybe try and just go all in on these familiars, or take the beating. But that doesn't feel so good either. Um, yeah, and plus Jelamoose needs to like Hydar's still representing some number of has power up. It could be any trick. So even if you block for Xaxes, can get blown out by say a teleport. So he opts to just throw away the familiar that's been exposed and wait another day.
Hmm. Not the ideal draw, but at least a castable spell.
Yep. And he'll see this pause here, know that there's something going on, but
Some of what's going on will be immediately exposed.
yep. Chooses to silence the bigger champion of glory, spare the 3/3. And there's Diffic Infantry, the best top deck in the world. So now we know that. And wow, getting aggressive with the Valkyrie Enforcer.
Well, regardless of how
You,
well it
you do
attacks,
get to play another Sandstorm Titan here, so yeah, you're fine with attacking with this.
and Champion of Goalie
Trade
doesn't
it for a.
block particularly well.
So
As
do you get fancy and teleport here, or do you just save teleport for other things? Wow, he decides to go with the
this
teleport.
this attack kind of commits you to the teleport line because otherwise it was not a great attack.
No, you're still just trading a Valkyrie for an Aegis unit. But
It,
yeah, I think the thought is if they have a large weapon, they're going to put it on the Silverwing Familiar anyway, so teleport doesn't answer that, right? And speaking of large weapons, Jelamus is sitting on two very large weapons right now. This Deep Forge plates. Well, we're going to see one of these games again where we might double Deep Forge plate a familiar. Of course, in the meantime, Jelamus might die before.
oh no, I don't like that. If he puts the 660 forge plate on that, he can block the Titan, the 8/9,
Mm-hmm.
and trading there means that the best he can do, like what's his good draws now? He has to draw a Vanquish essentially for the 8/9, and then he's just a
It's
power
not
away.
Torch, that's for sure.
Yeah,
Torch is
I think he took himself away from having good outs with that block.
well. If you draw the power four plate, you put a plate on the familiar. They swing that next turn, but they can only swing with the large Titan, right? The smaller
So
ones
you
get
just jump
blocked by
it, and then you
familiar.
play a second plate, and you
Yeah,
think that's your out.
and then you swing with that, and yeah, hope that clears out all the Titans, and then you go into Soulfire Drake.
All right.
None of it's pretty, right? When you're behind like that, you're not going to have pretty options. You just have options. It looks like Jello is going back to the sideboard and just completely re-sideboarding again.
Not happy with how things are going. So far, we've
Yes.
seen when Hythar draws power, Hythar wins games.
Yeah, Hythar figured it out. It's like, this has 4 power. Let's keep it. I get to cast Sandstorm Titan, and Jello Moose does not have 2 drops into 2 drops into Vanquish.
So let's
Yeah.
look at Hythar's plan and talk about how silly I was. We've seen so many Combray decks. Hythar doesn't actually have a high-end harsh rule plan.
No. That was Goblin Queen.
Goblin Queen.
Hythar instead has some more flyers for certain matchups, some decays, some finest hours, some xenon obelisks, some protects. So just more cheap tricks and some evasive threat.
I don't feel like we saw any of those in those games.
Yeah, I don't think Overseer or Parliaments are for this matchup.
No. Well, no, Parliament's probably not that great. Decay probably still worse than Teleport in most
Well, but
situations.
still decent. We saw it do a lot of work in an earlier match against Kano as well. Although this Rakano deck has good amount of Aegis units, right?
Hmm.
Decay not doing a ton in those scenarios, but man, those were some Decay blowouts in the earlier match.
I could
I'm
also
sure some number came in.
I could see arguments for Protect or Finest Hour. I think I
Mm-hmm.
like Finest Hour, but it seems like your units are larger anyways,
It
so
might
you
just be
probably don't
more
need it.
important to protect your Sandstorm Titans and your large flyers from Vanquish more than protecting your smaller guys
Hmm.
from Finest Hour, though. I think you might just bring in all of them and kind of trim out some of the fluff instead.
I have not been
But
impressed
it's
with
tough to
District
find
Infantry.
spots. Like I think protects are probably better than stand togethers in this matchup, just because I think the cheapness is important. But clearly, Hythar kept in stand together as it's in that hand.
Well, I haven't liked the District Infantries in this matchup very much, so I wouldn't be unhappy to see
Mm-hmm.
those cut, but we saw them in last game, so presumably they're
Yeah,
still there.
yeah. Maybe cutting infantry and just really trying to protect your mid range threats is more important, right? The infantries aren't great at blocking. They put on some pressure, but I don't think winning through early infantry pressure should be. So Jolamus has the torch for the initiate, then plays a 2 drop with Warcry and has a bunch of combat tricks in hand. And Hythar has no turn 2 play because initiate dies to.
Well, we see that the Decay came in at least, so I know
Yep,
that he's
Decay
got
came
that going
in,
on.
and Jello has an absolutely incredible hand here. 2 Warcry units, pump spells to back him up, and a Vanquish for a large unit. It sounds like just what the doctor ordered, really.
Hmm. Do you just do you just trade here and play the Silverwing Familiar, or do you actually expend one of those Finest Hours as essentially a removal spell on an Aegis unit?
Yeah, this is a tough question. Like these, keep getting these war cries are important. The fact you have a second finest hour
Oh well,
means that you can kind of just keep rolling with these finest hours every turn. But
that makes it pretty
Hythar,
easy.
yeah, that makes it a lot easier. You're not going to use finest hour as a torch to the face. And Hythar has this uh, choice from before. Do you play Sandstorm Titan and try and ground the flyer, or play the thing that's immune to Vanquish? And opts to play the thing that's immune to Vanquish. Doesn't really care about the Silverwing Familiars as much as the Warcry triggers. And of course, Jelamoose immediately A spaces because
He has it all.
he's got 2 finest. And that makes Hythar real nervous. Hythar tries to bait out 1 finest hour here, and we'll see if Jelamus obliges. I doubt it. Now that you get to play a 3/3
Yeah,
Silverwing.
you just keep playing the
Wow.
the familiars. If he plays the Titan to lock it down, you've got the Vanquish, and you just keep rolling.
And you can still hold up finest hour next turn when you do Vanquish. So
Hmm.
Hythar is kind of forced into playing Titan here, right? You can't just hold up stand together, teleport, or decay teleport. Well, decay teleports a cute reactive line in that, answers
It
of
it still
heedful
doesn't really
play,
help
but
if you
a
teleport it.
weapon's not coming next turn. Your opponent's on 3. So,
Yeah,
yeah, Sandstorm Titan comes down, and this is where I was saying I like protect more than stand together. I think this situation highlights it pretty well. Stand together does not protect the Sandstorm Titan. Jelamus goes back into the skies, and Hythar is in a lot of trouble.
I feel like Hyther might be suspicious about this Rakano Outlaw that just keeps getting in there.
Yeah,
Um,
this is not the block
7,
again.
6, 13. Okay, well he doesn't just kill him with the double finest hour here,
No.
but next turn he gets him in the air.
Oh, Vodafone staff makes this thing larger and able to block. Of course, 5 in the air plus the finest hour you've been playing around all game means you're dead. So writing's on the wall for Hylar, and he'll just hope he made the completely wrong read and somehow doesn't have finest hour. His opponent somehow doesn't have finest hour or torch in hand. Unlikely.
Well, to the surprise of probably not that many people, um, we're going to game 5 in a big match like this. So we're going the full distance.
Oh, this is game 5. Okay, we're going to game 5. Good. I'm following along. I know what's going on.
I barely know what decks are in play. Is this the Shimmer? There were a lot of Shimmer Pack decks. Is this 2 of them?
I don't think we're that far off the rails. So,
So
yep.
this is the game for all the marbles. We talked about there being marbles. Well, the loser of this has to take 10 of Jello dollars, and the winner moves on to take at least 20 of Jello dollars and face off in the finals.
Mm-hmm. Yep. So here we go for some of the marbles here. One person lives, the other gets a cool prize, but not as cool as the other prize.
Top 3 is pretty good, but not as good as top 2. And to the surprise of no one, is again Jello Moose is going through his sideboard just in case.
Meticulously
Yeah,
crafting his.
there's still no way to fit 5 Vanquishes into a deck.
Not yet. Not
Not
until
yet.
set 2.
We're not allowed to release that publicly.
Oh. Oops. Vanquish Part 2. All right, here we go. See Jello Moose mulligan into some 2-drops.
So I'm going to
Ooh.
take a moment now. I probably should have taken a moment to note before that all of the players that made it to the top 3 are Combray staples. We have 2 Sandstorm Titans and a Martial Ironthorn, of which Jelamoose showed off earlier in the stream that he had 8 of, I believe.
Mm-hmm.
So
Hythar's got the rare more than 2 power hand plus 2-drops for Combray aggro. So that bodes well. End is on the play, which is a big deal. Jello Moose is on the single outlaw that could, and is hoping that can go the distance with a couple vanquishes.
Man, I like the Volcon Staff plus Smash plan. How are you going to beat that?
Oh, I like the Awaken Soon Develop your board. Go wide against Rakano, apply pressure in a bunch of different. But yeah, Vodafone staff hit him with a 5/5's cool. Yes.
Rakano thinks
But
it's
I
the
think
aggresso.
discouraging them from getting war cries is better. And all right, Jelamus with the timely torch to deal with that 3/3 lets him get in a war cry.
Not bad.
Stand together.
Oh,
So now you can either staff or you can preemptively silence this war cry quick draw.
I think preemptively
Looks like
silencing
this.
is super scared. That's really playing on the back foot. I think you get in
Yep.
there.
Yeah, I think putting the pedal to the metal here. You've got one large Aegis unit. You hopefully are about to present some more large Aegis units.
Problem is, he does not have a Vanquish, and Jelamoose is about to have a large quick draw unit, which is one of the ways that Rakano gets you.
Sure, but you can remove the quick draw from that unit if you so desire. Yeah, so now these Copper Hall elites are not so good on this board.
I think he's deploying the Copper Hall Elite, because I don't think you make that attack if you're planning on blocking.
And as is tradition, Hammer of Might always hits Valkyrie Enforcer with the with the war cries, and now you can Enforcer, pop an Aegis, and Vanquish. That seems pretty good. And these stand togethers are just clunky and miserable.
Yeah, they are not Vanquishes, and Vanquish is again what Hythar needs very much. So with the plate incoming that we know about, Desert Marshal needs to be held up, or the game is going to end on the next turn. But I don't know. Hyther doesn't really have any good lines other than leaving up Desert Marshal, so I guess that's probably what's going to happen. But
Yeah, playing Cabral lead is here is
ambitious.
not great. You can't block anything with even double blocking, so that doesn't do anything. Giving up Marshall feels really bad too, but you've just got a bunch of really bad options, which you've seen before from both of these decks, right? You just kind of get behind and have a bunch of miserably bad choices to make.
I think you spotted it though. These stand-togethers are not what he needs. But you suggested protects. Protect wouldn't be particularly good here
No,
either.
Protect wouldn't be great here either, and I think that we already saw some number of Protects too. Yeah, it's just neither of them are helping you beat Rakano, right? They're helping you protect your units that are good against Rakano, not helping when you're.
So
But
his
Cambrai
meat.
only has so many options for those slots.
Hmm. So Jelamoose is thinking about going for it.
Yep. And deciding not to commit the plate at all and just swing presenting lethal. See what your opponent has. That's pretty reasonable. So now if you're Hythar, I mean, do
I think
you
you marshal
silence
the
the quick
five
draw
five
unit so
double
you can
block.
kill it
Yeah,
and then hope to draw Vanquish, right?
I think so.
Yep. I think I agree. You get the most outs through that direction. You don't really have many other options here. I mean, silencing the 8/8 flyer, okay, it's not flying anymore. You still can't block it. Can't take the 13 here. So if you're on a block, you might as well actually kill your opponent's unit.
Yeah.
Now, do you think this is too conservative by Jelamoose to do this, to not play the plate at all, considering
No,
you have
I
literally nothing else to do
this plays
with this
around Desert
power?
Marshal pretty well. If he has a read that his opponent has that, or a teleport or something, his opponent is forced to use it, and then he
Yeah.
just replays it. When that's whatever. The plate's not expended.
And
um,
it turns out Hythar had a bunch of war cries on top of his deck.
yeah,
Voted against that. All
like
right, Jelamoose takes it in 5, and
moves
we
on to
get to go to the
grand
grand
finals.
finals. Ooh.
Hythar had an excellent run, was on camera a ton, but unfortunately falls in third place, which is still fantastic. This was a huge tournament, so coming in third is the man played and won at least 10 rounds today. So congratulations to him. He is our third place player, but we are moving on to our grand final match, which is Smoothie versus Jelamoose. We have Rakano versus Xenon, which is exactly what I expected looking at the original bracket. Right?
Yep, sounds about right.
Yeah.
I
Our,
think it was very easy to to just pick those two.
yeah. I mean, it seemed obvious. All right. So I'm gonna take a moment now to well, first I'm going to adjust our overlay.
Mm-hmm.
Congratulations to Hythar.
Yep, we've got Smune versus Jelamoose. Jelamoose trying to win back all of his prize money.
What a cheater.
Yeah,
Entering
just
his
looking to
own
find
tournament. You
square.
never see me do that. See, I have integrity. All right, so I'm going to read off the results of our original straw poll that we put up to guess what decks would win um, the tournament. What archetype was going to take it down? So number one was Shimmer Pack, which has been eliminated, but number two was actually Rakano. So the second most popular deck that people thought was going to win the tournament is actually in a position to win. And even as we speak, Xenon is picking up more votes, probably because I've mentioned it and people are now voting for Xenon because it's in the finals.
Well, also because smoothies are delicious, right?
Yes, it is true. They are delicious. Felon Control was actually our third most popular deck, but
And it almost won too.
it was
On control was this close.
it was just 4 wins away, basically right there.
Mm-hmm.
So we have Jelamoose in already. So we're going to take a very short break and be back with the grand finals of the Eye of Winter Classic. It's been a very long day. I hope you're all excited to watch just at least one more series. Smoothie does have winner's bracket advantage. Jellimos will need to defeat him in 2 best of 5s in order to claim the crown, whereas Smoothie only needs to win either one. So Jellimos still has a long road ahead of him, and Smoothie has plenty of time to work. So lots more matches left to play. But we'll get those guys in, and we will be right back with the grand finals.